Greetings, you are listening to Change Radio News. Today is Friday, the 12th of September 2025. The news read by Oliver Ruzizo. And the headlines. South African opposition leader urges tougher stance on ZANU-PF over regional crisis. Chinese national sentenced to 18 years in prison for illegal wildlife trade. And Zimbabwe traditional leaders face power abuse claims. And now for the news in detail. South African opposition leader Mmusi Maimane of Build One South Africa, BOSA, has called on the government to take a firm stance against Zimbabwe's ruling party, ZANU-PF, accusing it of exporting crisis into the region. Posting on his X, formerly Twitter account, the former Democratic Alliance leader urged for stronger border controls to address what he described as an immigration crisis driven by political failures in neighboring states. He further urged South African government to stop shielding ZANU-PF from criticism. South Africa is home for thousands of Zimbabwean nationals who left the country in search of better opportunities, many of whom crossed the border through undesignated entry points, fleeing economic hardship and political instability. A Chinese national has been sentenced to 18 years in prison for illegal wildlife trade, one of the harshest penalties in Zimbabwe's fight against poaching. Harare magistrates found 57-year-old Kong Yanzhong guilty after he was caught with 7.7 kilograms of rhino horn worth $240,000 and 36 kgs of ivory. He was arrested in July after detectives intercepted him with rhino horns and later discovered ivory at his home. The National Prosecuting Authority says the sentence sends a strong message that Zimbabwe has zero tolerance to wildlife crime. In Gutu, Chief Nyamandi, Bon Togara Masunda, has threatened to remove village head Taiva Manjova from his position. Manjova stands accused of illegally selling land to outsiders from as far as Kadoma, while denying locals, including lifelong resident Admaya Mafuta, access to land. Mafuta also accuses Manjova of allowing child marriages in a local church. Chief Nyamandi says those illegal allegations will be handled separately in court. Meanwhile, in Mashonaland Central, villagers under Chief Masembura say Sabuku Nekati Simbarashe Zvirime is demanding chickens, goats, or $50 bribe for basic services like drilling boreholes or building homes. He is also accused of selling off communal land and grazing areas, leaving villagers scrambling for pasture, even in rocky hillsides. Last week, an elderly widow who accidentally set fire to a change house was fined $30 and 2 goats, with $20 allegedly going to the chief. Residents are now questioning what the Environmental Management Agency, EMA, says about such actions. And in Chikombedzi, the Mapengo family is under pressure from Chief Mpapa, who is demanding a 2,500 rand after the family refused to pay 2,000 rand for a burial approval letter for a loved one who died in South Africa. The chief is reportedly issuing threats via phone, and the family is considering escalating the matter to Paramount Chief Sengwe for intervention. These cases highlight growing concerns over abuse of power and corruption among traditional leaders across the country. The Ministry of Transport has announced the temporary closure of part of Idi Mnangagwa Road at Highland Park for critical infrastructure works. The closure starts at 3 p.m. on Saturday, 13 September, and ends at 6 a.m. on Monday, 15 September. Works include laying a 250 mm sewer pipe and building a pedestrian bridge. Motorists are urged to use alternative routes such as Ridgeway North and South, Boscobel, Herworth, and Arcturus roads. Traffic controllers and signage will be in place, and drivers are advised to exercise caution and follow all instructions. The Zimbabwe Electricity Supply Authority, ZESA Holdings, has announced that Unit 3 at Hwange Power Station will shut down for 44 days for maintenance to improve its performance and reliability. The outage began on 10 September and is expected to end on 24 October 2025. ZESA stated that 4 other units at the station will continue operating to ensure electricity generation is maintained during this period. As the fight against drug abuse intensifies, the Zimbabwe Republic Police, ZRP, arrested Kawengwa Noreen Samantha on September 11 near the 60-kilometer peg along the Beitbridge Masvingo Road. She was found in possession of 600 bottles of unlicensed cough syrups, Bronclear and Azrapain. The Women's University in Africa has launched a new campaign, Light in the Darkness. They have done this to tackle rising suicide cases among young Zimbabweans. During a fact-finding visit to the Jairus Jiri Training Center in Bulawayo yesterday, Parliament's Portfolio Committee on Lands, Agriculture, Water, Fisheries and Rural Development praised the center's thriving agricultural project. The institution is producing cabbages, carrots, and onions on a large scale with plans to generate revenue to support persons living with disabilities. Lawmakers described the project as a positive move from dependency on charity to self-sustainability. A fire has gutted the recording studio of Zimbabwean musician Trison Chimbetu. The cause of the blaze remains unclear, but it caused extensive damage to equipment and property. No injuries have been reported. Fans and fellow artists have expressed concern and support for Trison during this difficult time. And in entertainment news, Zimbabwe mourns the death of veteran musician Jimmy Makureya, aged 69, who passed away in Mutare due to high blood pressure and diabetes. A multi-instrumentalist, Makureya played with legends like Thomas Mapfumo and the Zigzag Band. May his soul rest in peace. In international news, in South Africa, the Constitutional Court has ruled that men can now legally adopt their wives' surnames, declaring parts of the Births and Deaths Registration Act unconstitutional due to gender discrimination. Suspected Ebola cases in Congo's southern Kasai province have more than doubled from 28 to 68 in just 1 week, according to Africa Centers for Disease Control, CDC. The outbreak, now affecting 4 districts, has claimed 16 lives. It is the first Ebola outbreak in Congo in 3 years and the first in Kasai in over a decade. The remote province faces challenges due to poor roads and its distance from the capital, Kinshasa. Finally, in sports news, all eyes will be on Wadzanai Stadium in Shamva tomorrow as Simba Bora hosts Scotland Football Club in a crucial top-of-the-table clash. Kick-off is set for 3 p.m. Simba Bora, currently leading the standings, will be looking to extend their advantage with a home win. But Scotland Football Club, just a few points behind, are eager to close the gap and keep their title hopes alive. Both teams come into the match in strong form, and fans are expecting a tightly contested battle. The match could prove decisive in shaping the title race as the season enters its final stretch. To end the news bulletin, here are the headlines once again. South African opposition leader urges tougher stance on ZANU-PF over regional crisis. Chinese national sentenced to 18 years in prison for illegal wildlife trade, and Zimbabwe traditional leaders face power abuse claims. This concludes our bulletin for today. Thank you for listening. From myself, Olive, and the entire team at Change Radio, have a blessed weekend.